Are you waking up 3, 4 times a night to use the bathroom? Do you feel like your bladder never fully empties no matter how long you stand there? And during the day, that constant pressure, that urgency, that feeling that something just isn't right down there? Gentlemen, what if I told you that 5 completely ordinary things you do every single day, things you've been doing for decades, are quietly, systematically damaging one of the most important organs in your body? And the worst part? Your doctor has probably never mentioned a single one of them. I'm Dr. Jocelyn Carter, a urologist with 12 years of experience helping men over 60 reclaim their vitality, strength, and confidence. I've worked with thousands of men who thought their best days were behind them, men who assumed what they were feeling was just getting older. But what I see in my clinic every week tells a very different story. These men weren't victims of age, they were victims of habits. And habits, gentlemen, can be changed. Before we dive in, hit that like button and drop a comment telling me where you're watching from. I read every single one, and it genuinely helps me understand what you're going through so I can keep making content that actually helps you. Now let's talk about your prostate, because most men don't think about it until it's already causing serious problems. The prostate is a small, walnut-sized gland that sits just below your bladder, and it has 2 jobs: helping produce seminal fluid and regulating urine flow. When it's healthy, you don't think about it at all. But when it starts to enlarge, which it naturally does after 40, every bad habit you carry into your 60s starts acting like gasoline on a fire. Here's what most men don't realize. Benign prostatic hyperplasia, or BPH, affects over 50% of men in their 60s and nearly 90% of men by their 80s. That's not a coincidence of nature. That's a consequence of lifestyle. The inflammation that drives prostate enlargement, the hormonal imbalances that feed it, the poor circulation that accelerates it, these are all things that daily habits either make better or make dramatically worse. And 3 problems stack on top of each other when these habits go unchecked. Your sleep is destroyed, your confidence erodes, and your overall health begins a slow, quiet decline that touches everything: your energy, your relationships, your sense of self. The men who come to see me aren't weak. They're not failures. They just never had anyone sit them down and explain what was actually happening inside their bodies. That ends today. Habit number 1 is one that almost every man over 60 is guilty of, and it starts before you even get out of bed in the morning: chronic dehydration. Most men in this age group are mildly to moderately dehydrated throughout the entire day. And here's the cruel irony. Because they're already struggling with urinary urgency and nighttime trips to the bathroom, they deliberately drink less water, thinking it will help. It doesn't. It makes everything worse. Biologically, when you're chronically dehydrated, your urine becomes highly concentrated. It's essentially acidic, loaded with irritants. Every time that concentrated urine passes through your urethra and contacts the tissue surrounding your prostate, it triggers an inflammatory response. Over time, that low-grade, constant inflammation accelerates prostate enlargement. Think of it like this. Your prostate is a sponge sitting in a stream. When the stream is flowing with clean, diluted water, the sponge stays soft and pliable. When you replace that stream with vinegar, the sponge starts to harden and swell. Emotionally, this habit creates a vicious cycle that chips away at your dignity. You drink less, you feel worse. You become anxious about being away from a bathroom. You start turning down invitations, skipping trips, avoiding situations where access to a restroom isn't guaranteed. Men tell me they stop going to church, stop attending their grandchildren's events, stop traveling, all because of a habit that started with simply not drinking enough water. Practically, here is what I tell every patient. Drink a minimum of 6 to 8 glasses of water per day, but front-load it. Drink the majority of your fluids before 4 p.m. Taper off in the evening. This single adjustment reduces nighttime bathroom trips for most of my patients within 2 weeks. Add a squeeze of lemon to your morning water. The citrate helps alkalinize urine and reduce that inflammatory irritation. Start today. Habit number 2 is something most men consider completely harmless: sitting for more than 6 hours a day. I know, you've worked hard your whole life. You've earned the right to sit down. But gentlemen, prolonged sitting is one of the most underestimated threats to prostate health that exists, and here's why. Biologically, when you sit for extended periods, you create direct, sustained pressure on the perineum, the area of tissue between your sit bones that houses a dense network of nerves, blood vessels, and lymphatic channels that supply your prostate. That constant compression restricts blood flow and lymphatic drainage to the gland. Without adequate circulation, the prostate doesn't receive the oxygen and nutrients it needs, and metabolic waste products don't get cleared efficiently. Chronic pelvic congestion is the result, and chronic pelvic congestion is a known driver of both prostate inflammation and enlargement. Think of it like a garden hose. Sit on it long enough and nothing gets through. I had a patient, Robert, 67, retired accountant. He came to me frustrated, barely sleeping, convinced he needed surgery. We reviewed his daily routine. He was sitting an average of 9 hours a day, at his computer, watching television, riding in his car. I prescribed him one thing before we talked about any medications: stand up and walk for 5 minutes every single hour. He thought I was joking. 8 weeks later, he told me his nighttime trips to the bathroom had gone from 5 to 2, and his daytime urgency had decreased significantly. He avoided surgery. Practically, set a timer on your phone for every 55 minutes. When it goes off, stand up. Walk to the kitchen, walk around the block, do 10 body weight squats. It doesn't matter. What matters is breaking that compression cycle. If you can add a 20-minute walk in the morning and another in the evening, you'll be doing more for your prostate than most supplements on the market combined. Habit number 3, and this is the one most men never expect to hear from a doctor, is eating a high-sugar, high-refined carbohydrate diet. Gentlemen, sugar is not just a heart problem or a diabetes problem. Sugar is a prostate problem. Biologically, when you consume refined carbohydrates, white bread, pasta, pastries, sugary drinks, even fruit juice, your blood sugar spikes rapidly, triggering a surge of insulin. Elevated insulin levels stimulate the production of a hormone called IGF-1, insulin-like growth factor 1, which directly promotes cell proliferation in prostate tissue. It essentially tells your prostate cells to grow. Combine that with the systemic inflammation that a high-sugar diet creates, because sugar feeds inflammatory pathways throughout the entire body, and you have a hormonal and inflammatory environment that is essentially fertilizer for an enlarged prostate. Emotionally, this habit is particularly painful because food is comfort, and by the time men reach their 60s, dietary patterns are deeply ingrained. I never tell my patients to strip joy from their lives. What I ask them to do is make substitutions, not sacrifices. And when they do, when they see that the burning, the urgency, the pressure actually improves, they never want to go back. Practically, the most impactful change you can make right now is to eliminate liquid sugar entirely. No sodas, no fruit juices, no sweetened teas. Replace white starches with slow-digesting complex carbohydrates, sweet potatoes, lentils, oats, and add cruciferous vegetables to at least one meal per day. Broccoli, cauliflower, Brussels sprouts. These contain a compound called DIM, diindolylmethane, which helps your body metabolize estrogen more efficiently, restoring a healthier testosterone to estrogen ratio that directly supports prostate health. Simple, practical, powerful. Habit number 4 is one that surprises men every time I bring it up: poor sleep. Not just the symptom of waking up to urinate, but the habit of consistently getting less than 6 hours of sleep, or sleeping at irregular times, or sleeping in environments that prevent deep, restorative rest. Biologically, your body does the majority of its cellular repair and hormonal regulation during deep sleep, specifically during the slow wave and REM stages. Testosterone production, which plays a critical role in maintaining prostate tissue health, surges during these stages. When sleep is chronically disrupted or shortened, testosterone levels decline, while cortisol, your stress hormone, rises. Elevated cortisol has been directly linked to increased prostate inflammation. And here's the compounding cruelty. The more your prostate suffers, the more it disrupts your sleep, which lowers your testosterone further, which worsens your prostate, which disrupts your sleep more. It becomes a downward spiral that feels impossible to escape. James, 72, came to me after 3 years of what he described as living like a zombie. He was waking 4 to 5 times per night. He'd tried every supplement he could find online. What we discovered was that his sleep environment was completely wrong for restorative rest. Screens until midnight, a bedroom that was too warm, no consistent sleep schedule. We fixed the environment before we touched anything else. Within a month, his nighttime awakenings dropped from 5 to 2. His energy returned. He told me, and I'll never forget this, "Dr. Carter, I feel like myself again for the first time in years." Practically, set a hard boundary. No screens 60 minutes before bed. Keep your bedroom below 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Go to bed and wake up at the same time every day, including weekends. And consider 300 micrograms of melatonin, not the 5 or 10 milligram doses you see on store shelves, which are pharmacological doses that actually disrupt your natural rhythm. 300 micrograms taken 90 minutes before sleep works with your biology, not against it. And habit number 5. This one, gentlemen, is the silent destroyer that nobody is talking about, is chronic psychological stress with no physical outlet. I am not talking about occasional stress. I am talking about the kind of low-level, unresolved, years-long stress that many men over 60 carry silently. Financial worry, health anxiety, relationship tension, the grief of loss, the identity shift of retirement. Stress that is never discharged through physical movement or social connection. Stress that simply accumulates day after day with nowhere to go. Biologically, chronic stress keeps your sympathetic nervous system, your fight or flight system, in a state of persistent, low-level activation. This has a direct and devastating effect on the pelvic floor and lower urinary tract. The smooth muscle of the bladder neck and the muscle fibers surrounding the prostate receive constant, low-grade signals to contract and tighten. Over time, this creates chronic pelvic muscle tension that compresses the urethra, reduces urine flow, intensifies urgency, and amplifies every symptom you're already experiencing. Meanwhile, the cortisol flooding your system is suppressing immune function, driving inflammation, and accelerating the very hormonal imbalances that cause prostate tissue to grow unchecked. Emotionally, this habit is the most difficult to address because the stress itself is often legitimate. Real losses, real worries, real challenges. I never minimize that, but I tell my patients this: your body cannot distinguish between a tiger chasing you and a mortgage you're worried about. The physiological response is the same. And if you never give your body a way to discharge that response, it stays locked in your tissues, and your prostate pays the price. Practically, the most evidence-supported intervention is progressive muscle relaxation combined with moderate aerobic exercise. 20 to 30 minutes of brisk walking 4 to 5 times per week reduces circulating cortisol, improves pelvic blood flow, and has been shown in multiple studies to improve lower urinary tract symptoms in men with BPH. Additionally, and I say this as a physician who sees the consequences of male isolation every day, please find one person you can talk to honestly: a friend, a partner, a therapist, a pastor. The men who thrive after 60 are not the ones who suffer silently. They are the ones who learned to share the weight. Here is your simple action plan. Step 1, hydrate strategically. 6 to 8 glasses of water daily, front-loaded before 4 p.m. Step 2, break up sitting. Stand and move for 5 minutes every single hour without exception. Step 3, eliminate liquid sugar and add cruciferous vegetables to one meal every day. Step 4, protect your sleep environment. No screens before bed, cool bedroom, consistent schedule, 300 micrograms of melatonin if needed. Step 5, discharge stress physically. Walk every day and find one person to talk to honestly. That's it. 5 habits to stop, 5 replacements to start. Begin today. If you've been frustrated, if you've been embarrassed, if you've been quietly suffering and wondering whether this is simply who you are now, I want you to hear this clearly. You are not broken. Your body is not betraying you. It has been responding, faithfully and honestly, to the inputs you've been giving it. Change the inputs, and you change the response. I have watched men in their 60s, their 70s, even their early 80s reclaim sleep, reclaim energy, reclaim the simple dignity of controlling their own body. It is not too late. It is never too late. If this video helped you, please like it. Leave a comment telling me which of these 5 habits you're going to tackle first. I genuinely want to know. Share this with a man in your life who needs to hear it. And subscribe if you want practical, honest information about men's health delivered every week without the fluff. I'm Dr. Emily Carter, reminding you that after 50, vitality isn't lost. It's waiting to be awakened. Take care, gentlemen, and I'll see you in the next one.